Hello everyone. Our special guest today is Fabio. How are you, Fabio?
Hey Adi, hi everybody. It's nice to be here with you today. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's nice to have you here, Fabio. Fabio, the question is always, for the podcast, English Talks with Adi and today with Fabio is about your English. What strategies do you use or have you used to learn English? Can you talk about a little bit?
Yeah, sure. In the beginning, I remember I started reading and I used it not to speak too much. So most of it I use it to read, I use it to listen to radios in English. For example, you have BBC News where you have to try to listen to something, but it's hard. BBC News. So.
But what level were you when you were, listening to BBC radio and videos?
Actually, my mistake. It was not a radio. They have an application, a cell phone application called BBC Learning English.
And that's so cool.
Yes, and they have the beginner level, the intermediate level, and the advanced level, if I'm not wrong. And they have the program that is called 6-Minute English, where you can listen to some conversations connected to grammar or a lot of different subjects.
Oh, that's a good tip. Really good tip, Fabio. Thank you. Really good. If you send me the link later on, I will put it down here on the subtitle. Okay, the link for people can connect that. All right, really cool. What else? Go on, carry on, please.
Yeah, so this was for listening, and also I use it to like a lot studying grammar. So I have some grammar books here at home that I use it to fill a lot of exercises to practice, in order to practice. So basically in the beginning it was listening to music sometimes, but of course songs just to practice the listening, but not the grammar, because in songs we realized that sometimes they don't follow the grammar rules 100%. So just something to take care of, to be careful with.
What do you think are your strengths like for learning? Do you find it easier listening? Do you find it easier, like you said, studying grammar, writing, reading? What's your strong points?
I used to say it was grammar, but when I reached an advanced book, I'm a little afraid of saying that, because advanced books are very hard. So when I go to intermediate level, I can do well. I can do a lot of exercise, but advanced books, I have an advanced book here, and I assume it's very, very difficult. And listening as well. I like listening, but it depends on the accent of who is speaking. For example, if you listen to TED Talks, I like listening to TED Talks.
Oh, TED Talks, good site for learning, yeah?
Yeah, and they have good English there. But and even there, sometimes you find some videos with a very strong accent. So
when you say strong accent, what do you actually mean? Like, what kind of a strong accent? Like foreigners, like when people speak that people are not native, or you talk about native speakers? What do you mean by strong accent?
Most of the videos I watch are from Americans. Sometimes from Britain people, but they also have Indian people. They also have a lot of people speaking there that don't have English as a native language.
Okay, got it.
Sometimes these accents are very difficult to get. It's not always, I could say 95% of the times it's not a problem, but this 5% sometimes gets hard.
Okay, I understand. I think so about training your listening, right? I mean, as you said, listening to a lot of music, songs, and watching videos. Yeah, I think maybe and having conversation with people, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, conversation helps a lot.
And that's my next question. Okay, has English helped you in life? Has English helped you with your career? Just talk about a bit about your experience with English in life, please.
Yeah, sure, it helps a lot. It still helps me. But in the beginning, I started studying English too because I believed that with English in my CV, I could find a better job, I could fight for better positions at work. And actually, it never happened. The places I worked until today, they didn't require an advanced level of English. Actually, they didn't require English at all.
Right,
But,
okay.
yeah, but being there and understanding English made me able to do some research, to do some better research, to understand more, for example, the machines we worked with. So I could read some articles that helped me at job, but my job didn't require this from me.
Would you say that English made you like a more confident professional?
Yes, yes. And nowadays, for example, I've been studying to be a software developer, and
Okay.
you have to read a lot of documentations on the internet, and most of the documentations are in English. You have the Portuguese, the translations, but they are not so good sometimes. And if you understand the English, it's better to get the English documentation because it's the original documentation.
So you get more information in English, yeah?
It's easier to find information in English.
Oh,
You
cool.
sometimes you find in Portuguese, but sometimes you don't find in Portuguese, but in English, it is almost 100% sure you're gonna find the solution or whatever you were looking for.
Nice, quite interesting, yeah, really interesting. I think people don't stop to think about that. Like we have more information, is easier to find in English, meaning English open different doors. Yeah. So I mean, you can be like in Brazil and you can research anything in English anywhere around the globe. Yeah.
Yes, and you get used to it. Sometimes you find yourself searching for stuff in English, and you just don't write in Portuguese. You just don't Google stuff in Portuguese anymore. You go straight to English because it becomes a habit. That's good also.
Talking about the habit, I have to ask one more question, okay? I know that you had an amazing trip. Where did you go?
Oh, I went to Ireland. I stayed 6 months in Ireland.
Nice, nice. Talk about a little bit, please.
Well, it was in 2014. I was enjoying studying English, but I wanted to boost my English. I wanted to improve faster. So I talked to my parents. I stopped college for some months, and I decided to go because I understood that being there, being challenged there, would be a good option to improve my English.
Nice, Fabio.
Decided to go.
Now, let me just ask. If you compare your English before you went to Dublin and after, do you say it worked? The idea of you spoke English before you leaving to Dublin, right?
Yes. I had an intermediate level, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, and I know I remember you had intermediate level. I remember that, yeah. And after you went, if you compare, can you yourself compare? Can you tell us, comparing from the level you had before leaving to Dublin and after, what do you say? Did it work? I mean, the idea of learning English here first and going abroad to improve your English is a good idea, or would you say it's better if you go abroad to learn English? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, of course. The more you know before you go, the easier things get there.
Nice.
But the problem is when you are in Brazil, you don't get so nervous when you have to talk to people here, because if you don't know something, you can say in Portuguese. But being there, what is difficult sometimes is that you have to speak in English. If they don't understand you, what can you do? You have to pass the message. And I think it's good to have some English before going, but if you don't have, it's gonna be, I would say worse, but you shouldn't stay here in Brazil. You should go anyway, because every places you go, you have a lot of people there to help you, and these countries are prepared to receive people that don't speak a very good English sometimes. So, for example, when I first got, I also have an example to compare my English when I got there and when I left. I remember I stayed for 1 month. My first month there I was living with a lady that she was retired, but she used to receive students at her home. And I remember when I got there, I couldn't.
Was she Irish? Yeah.
She was Irish. Yes. I remember I couldn't speak anything because I was nervous. I was a little.
Okay.
It was my first time there, but time moved on. I studied a lot, and after around 5 months, I was not living with her anymore. But I went back there to say goodbye, to thank her for the time I had spent there.
Cool.
And this time I could talk better to her. I could understand more. We had a very good and long conversation after some months there. So I would say it helps. It helps a lot, but you have to study. You have to work hard there, because every place you go.
So going abroad, you have to study, but if you study here and learn some English before you're moving abroad or going abroad or visiting abroad or having a trip, is important to learn some English before.
Yes, I would say you are one step ahead if you study. The more you can.
Nice one. That's a very good point. Very good point. Fabio, thank you very much for your time. It's really great having you here, and you might come back later. In the year, maybe. Are there any plans for 2024 for a different trip abroad?
No, not for now. I'm not planning anything yet, but of course, one day I might go back to Ireland, or I plan to visit a lot of countries in the world. So as soon as I can, I will.
And then you come back here to talk about, okay?
Of course, it will be a pleasure.
Thank you, Fabio. Take care.
Thank you.